Welcome back to the Nest as we continue our ability series and attack an underrated ability, reliability, and dependability in this episode of the Nest. And Joe, I got to tell you, the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of being reliable and dependable is fear. And the reason I think that is because when we are afraid, we need someone to turn to. And oftentimes, think about moments where you were really afraid and you turn to another person. You're turning to someone that you absolutely, with all of your human beingness, know is going to be on the other end of that phone call, on the other end of that text, on the other end of that knock on the door, or whatever it may be. You know that when you're at your most scared, the person that you go to is going to open the door, literally or figuratively, and be there for you. And when you're that person and you're that reliable and dependable, that is something that I would want on my tombstone. If you're putting reliable on my tombstone, then I've died a great death. And I don't think enough people give credit to that characteristic of being reliable.
You just read my mind right there when I think about if someone were to speak, and literally I was going the same direction. If you were to speak at my funeral and someone stood up there and said, he's the most reliable, dependable person you've ever met, then I know I've achieved greatness. And I think we did reliability and dependability second, because you can only become that person when you fully understand accountability and what that means. You know, once you have that self-accountability, then you start holding others accountable. All of a sudden, everyone that you're holding accountable is like, yep, I can depend on him to be there. I can rely on him to show up when it matters most.
And I think today, in today's age, it's really hard to... The reason I think reliability is so special is because it's really hard to find people who are selfless enough to be reliable at the drop of it, because that's really what it is. It's at any moment when someone needs something or someone, you're there regardless of how comfortable your situation may be. And I think there are a lot of times today where you look at situations and you see people that need help and they're not getting it because the people that they turn to are simply too comfortable to help them. You know, I mean, I can think of as a literal example of something that happened just a few weeks ago. I got a flat tire on the Friday of the handball tournament. I got a flat tire. I was going over to Union Field to check the field. I come out. By the time I get back to the high school, the driver's side front tire is flat. I walked in and went right to Vince Layton. And Mr. Layton, who was one of my first coaches in high school in wrestling and became a great friend to me when he coached me, and then he came back my senior year in the second half of the year and was a teacher of mine, and then I was a colleague of his when we coached together for John Craig, and now obviously we're still colleagues today, but when I said to Mr. Layton, you know, I got a flat tire, before I could even ask him, he's like, Jay, call me later tonight. I got to run Trent to a couple different things. I'll come to the school tonight. We'll take care of that tire for you. No big deal. Don't worry about it. I mean, it was before I could even say anything. Fast forward to that night. We don't get done the handball tournament until 9:30 at night. And I'm getting ready to go. I'm about to call my wife and say, hon, can you come get me? Because I don't want to call him. It's 9:30 at night. Like, I already missed my window. I'm not going to ask him at 9:30 at night. And here comes a text across my phone. Jay, call me. And I give him a call. He goes, you still at the high school? I said, yeah. He goes, I'll be right over. Now it's 9:45 on a Friday night, and he's rolling up in the truck, and we're fixing a flat tire on my Jeep that could have easily stayed there till the next day, and I could have come back and, you know, done it with my, you know, on my own or somebody else. And, you know, I just think the ability, regardless of how comfortable you may be, to at the drop of a hat, jump up and go help another person is what defines your reliability.
And I don't know if this character trait could mean more than it does right now. You know, when everyone is afraid during this pandemic, they're looking for those that are reliable and dependable. And I can tell you who those people are right now. It's doctors, it's nurses, it's police, it's military. That you can rely on those people. You can depend on those people right now. They're stepping up in the face of something we've never, ever seen before to let the whole world know it's okay. We're going to try our best to get through this together. And I also think you can take like the people who are afraid or that fear. It also helped the people who are reliable and dependable. They got there because of that little bit of fear. That's a big step forward. When you finally appreciate accountability and you're like, man, I'm ready to become reliable and dependable. That's a big jump. You're putting yourself out there, and it's something we're going to talk about soon. You're making yourself vulnerable to the good and the bad that may come along with that responsibility and that character trait. And I think it's something that, again, people shy away from because they don't want to be in that moment of, well, what if I fail? Like, what if they look at me as someone who's reliable and dependable, but I don't follow through? I don't think it's about following through. I think it's about always putting yourself out there. And like you said, at the drop of a hat, they're available no matter what else is going on in their life. And I think we're seeing that more than ever right now is the most important things are the things that you can depend on. And that's your family and your home life and those that matter most to you. And I think as a high school student, trying to grow into that in your 4 years and be reliable and dependable will pretty much set you up for success as you move forward in life.
And I would challenge two sets of people I'd add to that group that you talked about, with doctors and EMS and other personnel handling emergency services with educators and parents, because we're in a very unique time where we're trying to get it right. And as an educator, as a teacher, administrator, whatever, I mean, you're dealing with so much, and it can be very easily can become overwhelming. And you could, as a teacher, just throw out some lesson plans and say, hey, guys, go figure it out. But as a teacher, you got to know who your struggling students are. If you see something come across your radar that's not quite right, a student's struggling or something like that, and you got to take this time to go and assist that student from a distance. That's not always easy. It's not always easy because it's so much easier to just say somebody else will take care of it. Guidance will get to it, or their family, their parents will handle it. They have friends. No, you got to jump on that, and as a parent, it's not easy. Believe me, like I want to be good at everything. I want to be great at everything I do. But being home these past however many days or whatever weeks, there are times I'm trying to hammer out work at 10, from the morning on, and you're getting that grind 10 till 10:30, 11 a.m. where you're really in the thick of it, and your daughters are there just staring, Daddy, 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 Daddy. I need to, Daddy, can you explain this? Can you read this? Daddy, can you check this? They need you too. Like, they're reliant upon you as the parent, and you better damn well find out a way to be there for your students, for your teachers, for your children, and for your friends in a time like this. You need to be selfless, reliable, and dependable as much as you possibly can for the future. You know what I'm saying? Because you just don't know the impact of not being there for somebody right now. It's a hard time that we've never been through. So we don't really know what the fallout of not being there for somebody could be. So it's a challenging time in that sense, and a great time to force yourself to be reliable.
Right. So many people are relying on you or depending on you right now. And as a teenager, you have an opportunity to kind of build yourself into that role and really show, even your parents that, hey guys, you can also depend on me.
Yep.
You can rely on me, that I'm going to get these written assignments done, that I'm going to take advantage of social distancing. I'm going to take advantage of virtual learning. I'm also going to help around the house a little bit more because I know I'm constantly relying on you to give me my basic needs. I now have an opportunity to give that right back to them. And I just thought about that right now as we sit here, right? You can give your parents a better understanding, or your guardian a better understanding that, listen, this goes both ways. You helped me get to this point. Now let me help you. And I think that's what we're seeing across the globe right now is the younger generation coming back and saying, I need to do my part, that my elders, my parents, my grandparents, my guardians, our leaders, they helped me to get to this point. Can I help them right now? Can I be dependable? Can I be, I think the other word is trustworthy. Can I be,
jumped it. Yeah, I was going trust.
Can I be trusted right now? Can they trust me to get the job done as well right now? And we all need each other right now. We're dependent on each other right now.
And trust is such a critical piece of the puzzle, man. Like, it's such a fundamental aspect, and I think it's something that we really struggle with today. You know, you look at the news, you look at social media, there's so much fake out there. You know, fact has become opinion, right? And so oftentimes you see people confusing opinion with fact, and so we don't know what to trust, we don't know who to trust, we don't know where to turn. And that, as you said earlier, needs to start with looking internally and then identifying. If I'm a student out there right now, if I'm a person out there right now, I'm listening to this episode and I'm getting out a piece of paper and a pencil and I'm writing down the names of people that I really feel like I can trust, people that I can depend upon. All right, and for some people, those lists are going to be 3 deep. You know, you might have 3 people on there. Others might have 10. Others might have 25. Others might have 40. My point is, you need to surround yourself from the moment you hear this to the end of this thing with those people that you can depend on and no one else. Because at this point, that's what it's going to take.
And I think if you're listening right now and you don't have a name to write down, or you don't
email me.
You don't think you have a name. I was just going to say, he's sitting across from me. It's Mr. Morrell. He's sitting behind me. It's Mr. Kirshner. And it's sitting in this seat right here. It's Mr. Panchella. You are not alone. You are not alone. And you will grow, and you're going to continue to learn. But look at these words. Look at what these traits mean. I know it just seems like, oh, they're just shoving stuff down my throat, and you know that's just how they operate, and they're just so similar. So you know they just get each other and this and that. And we're constantly learning these things. We're constantly challenging each other. But after the second day that I met you, I knew I could depend on you. I knew I could rely on you, and I knew you had my back, and that empowered me to take on a bigger role. That gave me the confidence and the courage to attack things, because I know I had support. I know I wasn't going to be left in the dark. Know you're supported right now. Don't be afraid to be great in a time of uncertainty. You can make a difference. You have the means necessary right now to grow and really take on some of these traits. And if these are the traits that you're identified by when you sit down for your first interview, that you're getting the job right away. You're getting the job right away.
Done. Great point, Mr. Pants. And that's going to take us out on this episode as we hit the midpoint of our ability series with reliability and dependability, and we roll into the completion of the ability series with vulnerability, a very important topic that's probably the most difficult to comprehend. We're going to attack it next time, so we'll see you then.